What's up, guys? It's Patricia from TarantulaHeaven.com. Thanks for joining me this week for Tarantula Tuesday. I've got Miss Spidey, my G. Rosea, in the tank right here. She is currently busying herself with observing a cockroach. Hopefully she will eat it. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about plants and why perhaps you should not use live ones. And for many of you more experienced owners, you may object, so I'm going to provide the one exception at the end of this video, so stay tuned. But for my more beginner tarantula owners, I am going to talk to you about why sometimes it's safer to use fake plants than live ones. So if you're a tarantula owner, I know that you just fret and obsess about how to make your tarantula enclosures the most beautiful, cozy, and wonderful for your tarantulas. I know that this is something that all of us really care about. I'm always in awe of the amazing terrariums that I see with the designs and just how amazing tarantula owners are at making things both stylish, functional, but also resembling a tarantula's natural habitat. It is so fascinating. And so considering how much effort you actually put into your tarantula enclosures, I would hate to see you accidentally put something in there that is harmful to your tarantulas. So for the most part, except for that little exception I am going to point to at the end of this video, I am against live plants in an enclosure, and I'll tell you why. One practical reason is that tank cleanings are way easier if you use fake plants. Now, tarantulas do not need their tanks changed that often, but in case you do happen to, at least you don't have to like uproot a live plant or anything if you choose a fake plant. Fake plants are really cheap and easy to clean. Spidey's, for example, they're plastic, so I just, sanitize them, wash them, and then they dry, and that's it. Silk plants might be a little bit harder, especially if you've got a messy spider that poops everywhere. Fortunately, Spidey's not that kind of girl, so the plastic ones have done pretty well for her, and they're easy to clean. She doesn't get them too messy, besides a little bit of webbing, so that's worked well for me. But if you have a live plant, you might have to replant it, take it out, possibly hurt the plant in the process. So that's a bit of a messy process. Another practical reason why fake plants might be a better choice is that many tarantula species don't need moisture in their tanks or don't like it. Spidey, who is my rose hair, she hates any type of water touching the substrate. She loves dry substrate, and so if I had live plants in here that I had to water, I imagine she would hate it. And for a lot of tarantulas, that extra moisture is actually pretty harmful to them. So it depends on your species. Every species probably may require something different, but for many tarantula species, live plants just won't be a practical thing or even be something that the spider likes. Your tarantula might kill your plant. So when I first got Spidey, I put some plants, a silk plant in her enclosure, and she hated it. She trampled it and she kind of ripped it out. And I would hate to see her do this with a live plant if she decided that she didn't like it. So as a plant lover myself, I love plants. I have many of them around my home. I consider them to be my other children, in addition to Spidey, Blinky, and my jealous cat. So I would not want to see her do this to a real plant. Another really big consideration is that you do not want to introduce any pesticides, chemicals, or parasites into your tarantula's enclosures. That's a biggie when I think about the benefits of using fake plants. Not only could a parasite create some sort of weird infestation or fungus or something in your enclosure, I don't know, but you definitely don't want your tarantula absorbing any chemicals or coming in contact with anything harmful. We can't control everything that our plants have come in contact with, so this is just a really good precaution to take. Especially since there are certain things that impact tarantulas, such as DKS, which is a disease that tarantula gets that is fatal. We don't really know where they get that, but we do believe that possibly one of the causes of it is coming in contact with chemicals. So we want to eliminate chemicals as much as we can. Now, in closing, I will talk about the exception, which my more experienced tarantula owners may agree with. I've been talking more in relation to classic terrariums and enclosures, where the tarantula doesn't need anything fancy, but there are some tarantula owners who are more experienced that actually make bioactive enclosures. So these habitats might actually really mimic the natural habitat that the tarantula would encounter and live in the wild. So if you were to create a bioactive enclosure, I would make an exception, because if you are at that stage in tarantula keeping, which I am not and many of us are not, I imagine that you know enough about tarantulas that you are doing a lot of research. You have to research the type of microfauna like springtails and little bugs like that to keep it clean. You've got to research what kind of plants work well together to keep this environment going. You've got to do research on the type of substrate and soil you're going to use and what kind of humidity and conditions you have to do to keep this thing sustaining itself. So if you are at that level, I imagine you are sourcing all of your stuff from very well-researched places, or at least you should be. So if you are doing a bioactive enclosure, my hope is that you are trying to do this as safely as possible so that your tarantula does not come in contact with anything that could hurt it. So yes, that is why I am more in support of fake plants than live ones. I think for the beginner to intermediate tarantula owner, it is just more practical and better suited for many, many tarantulas. But if you are at the stage where you are making very specific enclosures and really putting a lot of research and effort into them, and you've got tons of experience behind you, then, by all means, if you are into taking that time and effort to take care of all the plants and take care of all of that stuff, kudos to you. And I think that you would be able to do live plants well and safely. I hope that was helpful to my new tarantula owners. And if you have any feedback, do you use live plants in your enclosures? Let me know, I'd love to hear about it. I have never used live plants, but I do think that they're beautiful when I see them being used. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for Tarantula Tuesday. Bye.